Been a while since I've given a YouTube update. I've done quite a bit of small stuff that's taken a lot of time. I got my battery mounted. I made a little battery hold down, hoping that clears the rear clam. I mounted a radiator overflow. I custom laser engraved that on my engraver. I ordered it in black. I have the AN fittings in, but I'm missing some other fittings to hook up the cooling lines. The way this is gonna work is I've got a 4AN coming into here. That 4AN will pop off of this highest heater hose coming off of the water pump, off of the thermostat neck. That'll trap air bubbles coming out of there. And then you have another 4AN that runs all the way back to the front of the car and ties into the top of your radiator here. So there'll be a 4AN hose running all the way back through the center, and that'll pop air out of your two highest areas and throw them back into this expansion tank or overflow tank. And then the bottom of this tank has a fitting that goes into the bottom fill line on your water pump. It'll go in down there. You can't really see it. So I've got that set up. I've got it ready. I'm just waiting on some AN fittings. I got a throttle cable right here. This is for a boat. It's a 10-foot boat cable. It operates really freely. I'm waiting on a bracket here to get that set up. I have that going back up to my pedal. I have all my AN plumbing in for fuel. I've got a double setup on the carb here. I'm coming in. I go to that's a secondary filter. I've got primary filters down here. So I'm pulling from both tanks. That's coming across from the other side there. And then I'm coming in from my tank here. You can see it just makes a tight loop. Both of those go down to a primary filter. They go through. I've got a selector here for my passenger and driver tank. That's electronic. So that switches between my tanks. And you've got a fuel pump here. The fuel pump pushes the fuel back up and into this little fuel pressure regulator. Made a little bracket for that. I made it so you can see the pressure there. Made that bracket, pops out of the fuel pressure regulator, comes into that secondary filter there, and then up into the carburetor. So I've got that all done. I plumbed a remote oil filter. I've got the oil filter plumbed and AN fittings all done. I've messed around a bunch with some wiring. I got my primary wiring done. I put the wiring, I've shown this before, but I have the wiring on a trap door. So that little trap door allows you to get to the wiring easier than crawling under your dash. This is all just literally popped into the panel here, to the fuse panel. Nothing is wired, it's just a big nest of wires down there. But I'm ready to start dropping in wires. I mounted my fuel tank. So you can see here that I've got both of these little fuel tank breathers mounted. I did AN fittings there. So you can see that those are on a little check valve with a ball in them for a rollover. So they're a check valve. If your car rolls over, the fuel doesn't come pouring out of these. So I've got those all mounted. I did some suspension setup. The fronts, I'm not even close on yet. The backs I have dialed in. The backs are dialed in to, it's hard to tell when it's on the lift, but when I drop the backs, they're supposedly where people tell you it's supposed to be. I mounted my drive shafts. First thing that happened was I put it up on the lift. I pulled that coupling off, so I've got to fix that. Happened on both sides. It's real tight. So I've got the drive shafts mounted, so I'm getting there. So all of that's happened since the last time I did an update. I also moved it over, obviously, to, I have a second shop here where I have a lift. I wish I had moved it over here a lot sooner than I did. It makes working on it a lot easier. Up on the lift, I've gone up and down a lot, and I've realized it's a lot easier to access certain things from the bottom side, especially on the engine side. I can access things a lot quicker from underneath instead of trying to attack them from the top down. So there's the latest update on the GT40 project.